Have you ever stopped to reflect on which gifts might actually be burdens in disguise? On the path of life, it is essential to discern what truly uplifts us and what holds us back. And this is where Buddhist teachings guide us. In this video, we'll explore 9 gifts you should never accept, understanding how they relate to your inner peace and authenticity. Get ready to discover the signs that indicate these unwanted gifts and how to free yourself from them, allowing your true essence to flourish. The first gift we should consider is the expectations of others. We live in a society that often imposes other people's norms and desires on us. This expectation may seem like a gift, a recognition, but in fact, it can become a heavy burden. When we allow the opinions, desires, and expectations of others to shape our actions and decisions, we lose touch with our true essence. The Buddha's teaching reminds us of the importance of detachment. By letting go of external expectations, we find the freedom to be who we really are. The practice of meditation can help us discern these external voices, allowing us to silence the noise and listen to our own inner voice. The practice of mindfulness teaches us to be present, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When a thought like, "I need to please everyone," arises, we can recognize this expectation as an external reflection and not as an absolute truth. Thus, by cultivating awareness, we can choose wisely which actions really resonate with our true nature. Ask yourself, is this my decision, or is it an echo of what others expect of me? The answer can be liberating. By freeing ourselves from the bonds of expectations, we make room for authenticity and the true expression of our being. The second gift to consider is attachment to the past. We often hold on to memories, experiences, and regrets that prevent us from living fully in the present. The past, although valuable for teaching us lessons, can become a burden if we don't let it go. The Buddha teaches us that impermanence is one of the fundamental truths of life. Everything changes, and that includes our experiences and memories. By clinging to what has gone before, we deny the beauty of the now. Free yourself from expectations and the weight of the past with the 21-day life-changing challenge with Buddhist practices and rituals. Discover how meditation and mindfulness can transform your life and allow you to live your true essence. Want to know how? Check out the link in the first comment and start your journey. To free ourselves from this burden, it is essential to practice forgiveness, both of ourselves and of others. Forgiveness is an act of love and compassion that sets us free. By forgiving, we are essentially saying, "I choose not to carry this weight anymore." Meditation can be a powerful tool in this process. By sitting in silence, we can visualize what binds us to the past and then release those ties, like leaves falling from a tree in autumn. In addition, practicing gratitude can help us look at the past with new eyes. Instead of focusing on losses and regrets, we can recognize the lessons and experiences that have made us stronger. This change of perspective allows us to live in the present with an open heart, welcoming each moment as an opportunity for growth and learning. Both gifts, the expectation of others and attachment to the past, reveal themselves more as burdens that limit our spiritual journey. By recognizing them and practicing detachment, we can free ourselves and allow our true essence to flourish. Buddhist wisdom invites us to live with lightness and authenticity, embracing impermanence and the freedom that comes from within. The first gift we often accept without question is the judgment of others. We live in a society where other people's opinions seem to have a disproportionate weight in our lives. Accepting this judgment as truth can be a heavy burden. In Buddhist philosophy, we learn about impermanence and the nature of the self. What others think of us is a projection of their own insecurities and experiences. When we free ourselves from this burden, we find the freedom to be authentic. Practicing meditation and mindfulness helps us to observe these judgments without identifying with them. By letting go, we begin to cultivate true inner peace, based on who we really are and not on the image others have of us. Another form of unwanted gift is the expectation of success and material achievements. We are often conditioned to believe that our happiness is linked to external achievements. This belief is actually a burden that prevents us from living fully in the present moment. Buddhism teaches us that true satisfaction does not lie in possessions or status, but in connecting with the here and now. When we free ourselves from the incessant search for external validation, we can recognize the richness that already exists within us. It is essential to cultivate a practice of gratitude, where we appreciate the little things in life. Through this practice, we realize that happiness is not a destination, but a state of being that we can nurture on a daily basis. A third gift that can prove to be a burden is resentment. Holding on to past hurts only traps us in cycles of pain and suffering. Forgiveness, both of ourselves and of others, is one of Buddhism's most profound teachings. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or justifying actions that have hurt us, but releasing the emotional burden that prevents us from moving forward. When we forgive, we not only free others, but above all ourselves. The path of forgiveness is an act of compassion, a conscious choice not to allow the past to dictate our present. Practicing meditation on compassion can be a powerful tool for cultivating this forgiveness, allowing our energy to flow freely. Another aspect to consider is comparison with others. In a world full of social media and carefully crafted appearances, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves. This comparison is a gift that brings with it insecurities and dissatisfaction. Buddhism teaches us to celebrate the uniqueness of each being. Each of us is a unique expression of life, with our own experiences and challenges. When we recognize that everyone is on their own journey, we can free ourselves from competition and embrace collaboration and empathy. The practice of meditation helps to cultivate a more equanimous mind, where we can see the intrinsic value in every human being. Finally, the quest for approval is a gift that many accept, but it can become a heavy burden. The need to please others can take us away from our true essence. By seeking external approval, we lose connection with our inner voice. Buddhism teaches us that true validation comes from within. We need to ask ourselves, what really resonates with our being? When we allow ourselves to be authentic, we attract people who accept us as we are, creating more genuine and deeper relationships. The practice of self-acceptance is fundamental to this process. By accepting ourselves, we offer others the freedom to be true to themselves, creating an environment of love and mutual understanding. The comparison between what is a gift and what can turn out to be a burden in disguise is a profound reflection that deserves our attention. We are often attracted to things that seem to bring joy or security, but when we look more closely, we realize that these same things can imprison us. In Buddhist teaching, attachment is one of the main obstacles to true happiness. When we accept a gift that is full of expectations, obligations, or judgments, we are actually taking on a burden that can take us away from our essence. It's crucial to develop a sense of discernment. Ask yourself, does this gift really serve my growth or my inner peace? If the answer is no, it's time to reconsider accepting it. Detachment, one of the central concepts of Buddhism, teaches us to let go of the ties that bind us to fixed ideas, possessions, and expectations. By practicing detachment, you learn to recognize that although something may seem attractive, that doesn't mean it's beneficial. For example, consider the incessant search for external approval. We often accept validation from other people as a valuable gift. However, this validation can quickly become a heavy burden as it conditions us to live according to what others expect of us, instead of following our true path. Here, the practice of meditation is a powerful tool. By sitting in silence, you can listen to the inner voice that whispers your true needs and desires, freeing yourself from the weight of other people's expectations. Now, let's reflect on the second point. We often accept commitments that appear to be gifts, but which, in reality, can become burdens. It's common for us to say yes to invitations or responsibilities that don't resonate with us, for fear of displeasing others. This acceptance can generate stress and fatigue, becoming a source of suffering. The Buddhist teaching on the middle way is essential here. It encourages us to find a healthy balance between what we accept and what we reject. Learning to say no is a liberating practice. It doesn't mean being selfish or disregarding the needs of others, but rather recognizing that your energy and time are precious. When you allow yourself to refuse what doesn't serve your well-being, you create space to accept what really matters. The practice of mindfulness can be of great help in this process. Being present and aware of your emotions and motivations allows you to make choices in line with your true essence. Also, consider that many disguised burdens can manifest themselves in relationships. Sometimes we accept friendships or partnerships that bring us more pain than joy. Love and compassion are fundamental, but it's also vital to recognize when a relationship is draining your energy and peace of mind. The Buddhist teaching on interdependence reminds us that our connections should be nourishing. If a relationship becomes a burden, it may be time to reevaluate its importance in your life. The process of discerning what is a true gift and what is a burden in disguise requires courage and honesty. By cultivating self-compassion and wisdom, you become able to make decisions that reflect your true self, allowing your life to become an authentic expression of love, peace, and gratitude. When we talk about the importance of discerning the gifts we accept into our lives, one of the most subtle, but often accepted, is the need for external validation. In our society, we are constantly bombarded with messages telling us that we need approval to be worthy. This gift, which seems like praise or recognition, often becomes a heavy burden that takes us away from our true essence. External validation makes us lose touch with our authenticity, creating a cycle of dependence and dissatisfaction. Buddhist practice teaches us that true validation comes from within. When we connect with our inner self, we realize that we are enough as we are. Meditation is a powerful tool in this process. By silencing the mind and observing our thoughts and emotions, we begin to discern between what is genuine and what is an external construct. The practice of mindfulness allows us to live in the present moment, where the need for validation dissolves, revealing the beauty of simply being. Another gift that can be a burden is attachment to expectations, both our own and those of others. Hopes and desires are natural, but when we cling to them, we create a breeding ground for suffering. Buddhism teaches us about impermanence. Everything is constantly changing. When we cling to our expectations, we become prisoners of a reality that never materializes. This generates frustration and discontent, taking us away from inner peace. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up on dreams or becoming apathetic. Instead, it's about cultivating an attitude of acceptance and flexibility. Practicing non-loathing and non-attachment allows us to enjoy the journey, regardless of the outcome. By letting go of expectations, we make room for new possibilities and experiences. Accepting what is, without resistance, brings us to a state of tranquility and connects us with the natural flow of life. Buddhist wisdom invites us to look inwards, to question what we really are and what we really want. When we accept gifts such as external validation and expectations, we distance ourselves from our true nature. By adopting a stance of detachment and acceptance, we free ourselves from these bonds and are thus able to live more authentically and fully. The path is simple, but not easy, as it involves an honest look at ourselves and the courage to let go of what no longer serves us. So, throughout your journey, remember to question the gifts you accept. Ask yourself, does this lift me up or hold me back? This reflection is the first step towards liberation. With each step, you get closer to your essence, allowing your true light to shine through. The ninth gift we must reject is the need for external validation. We live in a society that often teaches us to seek approval from others as a way of measuring our worth. This incessant search for recognition can lead us into a cycle of dissatisfaction and suffering, distancing us from our true essence. External validation is seductive. When we receive praise or confirmation that we are on the right track, we feel a surge of joy. However, this joy is short-lived. It depends on the opinion of others, and so we become hostages to the gaze of others. Instead of connecting with our true nature, we begin to shape our lives based on the expectations and desires of others, losing the authenticity that is essential to our well-being. Buddhist teachings remind us of the importance of turning inwards. The Buddha taught us about the impermanence of all things, including the opinions and judgments of others. When we seek external validation, we are ignoring this impermanence and, consequently, holding on to something that is not lasting. It's an invitation to suffering, because every time we encounter criticism or a lack of recognition, we feel the pain of rejection. To free ourselves from this need for validation, we need to cultivate a deep understanding of ourselves. The practice of meditation is a powerful way of doing this. By sitting in silence and observing our thoughts and feelings, we begin to distinguish between what is genuine and what is shaped by the desire to please. This self-exploration allows us to realize that our happiness shouldn't depend on what others think of us. In addition, the practice of compassion is fundamental. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we learn to accept our imperfections and celebrate our achievements, regardless of external recognition. This compassion is a form of internal validation, where we become our own supporters and validators. When we can look at ourselves with love and acceptance, the need for external approval begins to dissipate. A practical tool for dealing with this issue is daily reflection. Take a moment at the end of each day to ask yourself, what did I do today that was truly meaningful to me? By focusing on your own experiences and feelings, you begin to build a solid foundation of self-esteem that doesn't depend on the opinion of others. This doesn't mean that you can't appreciate compliments or feedback. It means that you don't place them as the main source of your self-esteem. Another valuable practice is detachment. The Buddha teaches us that attachment is one of the causes of suffering. When we cling to the need for validation, we create a vicious cycle of seeking that never satisfies us. Healthy detachment allows us to receive and give love, but without the need for approval. By letting go of the need for validation, we make room for a more authentic and fully lived life. Finally, remember that you are enough just as you are. True freedom comes from recognizing your intrinsic value, regardless of any external opinion. By embracing your own light, you become a beacon for others, inspiring them to do the same. So, by rejecting this disguised gift and cultivating internal validation, you get closer to the inner peace we so desperately seek. The 10th gift to avoid is the need for external approval. On our journey, we often find ourselves surrounded by other people's expectations, seeking validation in the looks, words, and behavior of others. This incessant search for recognition can become a heavy burden, distracting us from our true selves and our inner peace. When we become dependent on the approval of others, we begin to shape our identity according to the opinions of others. This creates a mask that we wear to please and fit in. However, this mask is made up of illusions and does not reflect our true essence. Buddhist philosophy teaches us that true happiness arises from within, when we are in harmony with ourselves, and not when we constantly seek to please the outside world. The practice of meditation can be a powerful tool to help us discern these external influences. By sitting in silence, we allow our thoughts and emotions to surface, allowing us to observe without judgment. Over time, this practice helps us to identify patterns of behavior that are rooted in the need for approval. When we are aware of these patterns, we can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this action or decision really what I want, Or am I just trying to please someone? In addition, it's important to recognize that the search for approval from others is often fueled by fear. The fear of not being accepted, of being rejected, or of not being loved. Buddhism teaches us that fear is one of the main causes of human suffering. By cultivating compassion for ourselves and others, we begin to dispel this fear. When we are kind and understanding towards ourselves, the need for external validation diminishes. We begin to accept ourselves as we are, with our imperfections and uniqueness. Another aspect to consider is the impact of social media on our perception of approval. Nowadays, we are bombarded with images and moments that seem perfect. This constant comparison can increase our anxiety and the need to be seen in a favorable light by others. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence reminds us that everything is transitory. Appearances on social media are not representative of reality. Each of us has our own journey, and each path is unique. By recognizing this, we can free ourselves from the pressure to live up to standards that don't belong to us. To cultivate an authentic life, we must ask ourselves about our intentions. Do we act to please others or to follow our heart? Discernment is vital in this process. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and authentic, even if it means disappointing some people along the way. Remember that by honoring your truth, you also inspire others to do the same. By freeing ourselves from the need for external approval, we make room for a deeper love for ourselves and others. We cultivate relationships based on authenticity, where we are accepted for who we really are, not what others expect us to be. The path of self-knowledge and acceptance is one of the greatest gifts we can offer ourselves on our spiritual journey. Ultimately, the true approval we seek already resides within us, waiting to be recognized and embraced.